All right, in the spirit of Project Raptor, the Gen 1 that we're fixing up from rehab, I thought it'd be really fun, now that I've been driving this truck around for a bit, to do a comparison of the drive to a 2024 Ford F-150 Raptor 37 package. So, Gen 1 Raptor, one of the first Raptors ever built. One of the first 100 Raptors ever built. When these things first came out, it was super cab configuration only. What people quickly realized, they want a Super Crew. They want 4 full doors. There's been a ton of generations now. This is, some people call this 3.5 generation, Gen 4. Some people just call it a refresh. I will call it the 4th generation for the sake of this video. There's been multiple years and almost 15 model years of change between these two trucks. A lot has changed. Things we noticed right off the bat. Look at the front ends, look at the bumper design. This was pretty capable from back in the day. This was a really capable front end. It had a really nice skid plate, 2 tow hooks up front, nice steel strong bumper. Did not have LED headlights then, and it also didn't have forward-facing cameras. But they did come with a BFG KO, not have the option of the bead locks, but it was an option back then, with some really beefy lower control arms. Now we fast forward to today, and here's the new Gen 3.5, and here's the new 2024. Lots of changes. In fact, they just got a new bumper for 2024 model year. And I will tell you, ever since 2017, this bumper is way beefier off-road than that bumper. This thing can take a pretty good hit. And now some of the changes they've made is this is like this modular construction where you can, from the factory, bolt on lights and LEDs and different things. They changed the tow hooks. Now they come from the factory with 2 sets of rigid LEDs. Obviously, this truck has LED headlights. But a lot of things have changed. 35-inch tires, now you can get 37s. 3.5 liter V6 twin turbo, 450 horse, 5.4 liter V8 with, I think, 330 horse. I gotta look back in the day. But some things that are still the same. Fiberglass hood, composite fenders. Same thing here. Difference is this is steel body truck, this is aluminum body truck. Some other big changes. Let's look at the size of these trucks. When we look from the front here, there is a massive difference. It might be hard to see, but the mirrors are higher, and just generally the length of these trucks, it's a massive difference. Look at where this tire ends. I mean, it's a lot longer truck than the Gen 1. But there is still some of the same cues come from. You got the wide body in the rear, updated taillights. This one doesn't say Raptor, but they did have nicer taillights. They went back to the tried and true, some people call it Baja inspired suspension, where your dampeners are facing that direction. This one's seen better days, and these are getting updated. That's for a video coming soon. But what's different about these two trucks that you can't change is right here. This was an SVT truck. This was a completely different race-inspired team back in the day. This truck is Ford Performance. This is a whole new group in Ford. And when I say whole new group, it's kind of the same philosophy, off-road, on-road, very, very high-performing vehicles. But this has come from a different culture, a different era of Ford. They were more about, I don't know if I want to say big horsepower. This was more of a, we'll take horsepower, but we kind of want it more refined. This thing's got tons of technology. And what we're going to do today, for the spirit of, with RHO coming online and running this old truck, we're gonna do a drive comparison. I just did a drive review on this recently with fuel economy and things like that. Today, we're gonna focus on the drive review of the new Raptor. And we'll see, now that I've been out of the 24 Raptor for a minute, do I notice much of a big difference on this versus the Raptor R? This will be kind of fun to compare. And in the spirit of being a Raptor owner, everybody knows people with a Raptor can't park in the parking lot. So I had to purposely park like a chump today. All right, first thing we're gonna look at, let's look at the payload. From back in the day, let's see where we're at with payload. 1,389 pounds of payload in the 2024 Raptor 37 package. We noticed right off the bat, lots of nice soft touch. I like this carbon fiber trim here. Just a really nice interior. These seats are super comfortable. Got the Recaro theme. I like the embossment here. Just looks really nice. Says it in the steering wheel. Just a beautiful truck. Get in the second row. Same theme carries to the back. I've done a lot of reviews on these trucks, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time today specifically looking at interior and technology. If you're looking for that video, I'll include a link down below of looking at 24 of the 24 Raptors, but today's really focuses on, do you really notice the big difference in comfort and quality versus the old trucks? But you can see big second row, heated second row. Here's some other nice technology options. Assuming this is gonna have a power down tailgate, sure does. Got the step in the tailgate, they didn't change that. That truck has it as well. This has got the 2K watt, yep, 2K watt in generator in the rear. Got a nice storage here, LED lights in the rear, and this one does not have the spray-in bed liner, but it does have the cargo facing camera. Now we'll look, what do you get in the old school one? Well, we got a tough tailgate to come down just because it's kind of old. Still got the step, but this is the first generation step. No LED lights inside, no storage in the side, no inverter. Let's look at the payload in this beauty from back in the day. 903 pounds, big difference, almost 500 pounds more payload. But check out the interior of this thing. Back then, I got the car seats in there. They didn't have the Super Crew, just the Super Cab. It still works for kids. It's not huge, but it works. Call me crazy though. I don't mind this interior. All hard surfaces here, but the seats were fairly comfortable back then. Same embossment in the seating. Says Raptor there. Steering wheel's a little different. Very simple, no backup cameras. Still has a sunroof. Let's pop the hood of the V6 and see what it looks like. And there we go. Ford Performance, the high output, twin turbo, 6-cylinder. Notice it's packed in there pretty tight. Not a lot of room, lots of tubing, lots of plumbing work underneath here. It's much more sophisticated braking system, turbos. Intake is really nice and high. I really like that. But just generally speaking, kind of see the hood design. You got the hood extraction there and on the sides. Now let's compare that to the Gen 1. Hood design opens differently too. A lot different looking here. Believe it or not, it was clean up until recently. We've had some wet roads, but you see still got the heat extraction there. You don't have anything in the sides. That's just more for looks. Intake comes through the side of the fender, so it is a little lower. Debatable on if it's protected or not off-road. Nothing could come through the front, but if something did come up through in the wheel well and knock that out, I guess water could get up in there. Look at your braking system. Way more simple. Not a lot going on there. Traditional booster system. You got your reservoir back there, intake over here. It's just a lot simpler. Now, changing plugs in this is a lot different than in this. But I will tell you, I've changed plugs in my Gen 2 Raptors. They're actually really easy. That's easy also. She's loud. Start this beauty up. This is where the magic happens when you get into one of these. It's just massive and nice. You got the beautiful heads-up display right there. Obviously, Gen 1 did not have that. This truck did not come with a sunroof, which I actually think is super cool. If I had a choice, I'd get a Raptor without one just because I think the truck's a little more durable, less squeaks, less rattles, less noise, and you get a little bit more payload, which is nice. Still got your sunglass holder up here. The upfitter switches are here, and there's 6 of them, whereas the old school SVT was 4 and down there. Way more storage down in this area. Little different center console shifter. Way more storage in the middle here. And you got this cool workspace. As I mentioned, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the interior on this truck versus a Gen 1, but I'm just generally look at how nice this thing is. And now what we want to focus on today is specifically on one thing: driving. How does this truck drive versus a Gen 1? Also, what would my channel be without doing a fuel economy loop? We're going to reset our fuel economy. That's done. I'm going to check my drive mode, see where we're at. We're in normal mode. Engine's nice and warmed up. Let's go do a loop and let's see how it feels going from a Gen 1 14-year-old Raptor with 163,000 miles on it to a Gen 4 or 2024 Raptor. Hey, I want to thank Bob Maxxey here in Howell, Michigan. These guys have been a great dealer to me and my family and friends. They always take care of us. I specifically want to focus on Josh Wisniewski. He's the sales guy I've always dealt with in the past. He's a Raptor enthusiast, and he's a really good guy. I definitely recommend these guys, and Josh, if you are going to talk to someone, definitely look out to Josh. He's taking care of us, and he's a straight shooter. And that, I feel like in this day and age, I like working with people that don't waste my time. And he is one of those guys. He's going to do everything he can, but he's not going to pull any fast ones and try to sneak one over on you. So the one thing I immediately noticed right off the bat, and I mean it's hugely noticeable, is the steering on this truck. It feels like nothing. I just cannot get over how easy it is to drive this truck. The steering effort, I forgot how nice these trucks drive. The Gen 1 being hydraulic steering, and these new ones are the electric power assist. It's a big difference. The other thing I notice is this truck feels massive compared to my truck. I feel like I'm sitting up higher. Inside of this truck, it just feels massive. In the spirit of doing these drive reviews, I'm gonna give you the good, bad, and the ugly, but today we're definitely, like we do with other videos, we're gonna be checking fuel economy to see how this thing does. We've done this loop with the 21 Gen 3 Raptor, the 24 Raptor R, the 23 Bronco Raptor, the 2010 Raptor. We've done this with a lot of Raptors. I'm really curious to see what the 37 package 6-cylinder does today. So one of the things I'm noticing right off the bat, and it's been close to a year since I have had my Gen 3 Raptor, same exact powertrain as this truck, is this thing's got good power. You don't feel the lag in this like you feel with some of the EcoBoost engines. It just feels ready to go. Also, the comfort. I forgot how comfortable these trucks were. Man, this is making me miss my truck a lot. We're gonna get on the highway right now, and we're going to see how this truck accelerates coming from a Gen 1 with the 5.4 and the 6-speed. How smooth is this 10-speed? How does it accelerate? See, right now we're hovering between 2,000 and I don't know, about 1,1800 RPM, 1,600. But we're getting up to speed really easily. You know, this 10-speed, as these 10-speed transmissions progress, and now they've had them in the F-150 now for 7 years in the Raptor, I swear they continue to get smoother and smoother. As much as I like the 6-speed in my truck, I just don't see really a downside in the 10-speed anymore. I think like in the past, maybe I would see that downside. I just don't see it anymore. This thing is awesome for performance, for fuel economy. Not seeing a downside. I would go with this in a heartbeat. So we've got the cruise set at 70 like we do with all these videos. You know, I was gonna say, the one thing that I notice is acceleration with this 10-speed is so smooth. Power feels great. As these 10-speed transmissions advance, I just don't see a downside of why I would want to go back to a 6-speed. If it had to choice, 6-speed versus 8-speed or 10-speed, man, I'm going 10-speed for Ford all day long. And it's not that the 6-speed was a bad transmission, it was great. But the performance and fuel economy you get with the 10-speed, I think it's worth it. And just getting on the highway, I realized how effortless this truck does it. And it really just does. Look at the highway right now. We're at, gosh, 1,700 RPMs at 70. The fuel economy at these speeds, guys, we're like getting like over 20 miles per gallon at 70 in a truck on 37-inch tires. That's amazing. So people have asked, what do you like more, Gen 1 seats or these new seats? These seats are really comfortable. What's really cool about them is when you put your hands on them, you'd actually think this is really stiff and like not comfortable. Yes, it's stiffer than a Gen 1 seat, but it's still weirdly enough comfortable and gives really good bolster. I really like these seats actually. They're getting off at the halfway point. I'll be curious to see if the start-stop kicks in. Sometimes these newer vehicles, until they get a certain amount of miles on them, it won't engage. And you can see I've got it on, but we will find out if it does come on. Let's see, coming to a stop. Nope, not engaging. So we've seen this on many different brands. When sometimes these vehicles are in the first 100 miles or so, you don't see that start-stop technology engaging. And once again, it cracks me up. Guys, this steering feels amazing. I cannot believe how nice this feels versus my 14-year-old Raptor. The steering feels effortless. It's simple. It almost feels like it's too easy. It's awesome. All right, let's pull back into Bob Maxxey and see what we get for fuel economy. All right, pulling back in. Let's see where we're at. 15.8 miles per gallon for the 17.7 miles. Now we'll go do the same thing with the Gen 1. So some things I noticed. Number one, the comfort in this truck. Man, I got spoiled, guys. Holy cow. I forgot how nice these new trucks drive. It's amazing. All you got to do is step back into one of those things, and that's a sweet truck. I love it. But you will appreciate this in a heartbeat. Let's go do the exact same thing in the Gen 1. So this is gonna mess up my hand calculated, but let's see where our trip is at. And we'll add these miles on, 246.6. We will reset this, 246.6. We'll remember that because we're gonna do a hand calculated and remember this. And let's see what we get now with the Gen 1 Raptor. First thing I noticed, man, the steering's a lot stiffer. Not like you can't steer the steering wheel, it's just, this feels like an older truck, like what you'd expect. It works, power steering's totally adequate. It's just the new trucks, man, they steer a lot easier. These seats are still comfortable from back in the day. I have no problem with these seats at all. The only thing I wish is this thing had cooled seats like the new ones has, and this one does not. And I also like these white gauges back in the day. I think these are so cool and old school. So coming from the 10-speed, now back to the 6-speed, this ought to be fun to kind of compare. First thing you notice, V8 sounds good. It definitely does not have the get up and go that you would expect because it's got 4 less gears and 50% less power. But I love that red stripe on the steering wheel. That was standard with the Raptors in the past. All right, how does this 6-speed with the 5.4 Triton compare to the 3.5 high output with the 10-speed transmission getting on the highway? There's your RPMs. There's your RPMs. Sounds a lot better in this, I will give you that, but it doesn't accelerate nowhere near as quickly. So unfortunately, I'm not able to do any instantaneous fuel economy because back then these trucks didn't even have that technology. But what I will tell you is from a road noise perspective, it's considerably louder in the 2010 than the 2024. I guess you shouldn't be surprised. Brand new tires, brand new truck, brand new insulation, but it's a big difference. Comfort in the seats, man, these seats are really, really comfortable, but the new ones are not uncomfortable. I do feel like these feel a little more plush, but at the sacrifice of maybe not the same level of bolstering. So what's funny is, now granted, it's not a great example because these tires are old and the suspension is shot. So I hate to even give a fair comparison of how this truck compares. In about 3 or 4 weeks when we have brand new tires, rims, and suspension on this, it'd be fun to do this again and see the difference. But the difference in suspension is this has definitely got more wallow. I think that dual live valve just really tightens it up going down the road. You don't have as much body roll, and it just feels much more planted and sporty feeling. And what's funny is it almost feels more nimble, a little more light on the feet. Stop technology in these old school V8s. This just sits here and rumbles nicely. Let's pull in and see what we got for fuel economy with the Gen 1. 15.8 miles per gallon over the 18.2 miles. So the irony that both of these trucks, 14 years apart, the same day, doing the same loop, both got 15.8 miles per gallon. So some might say, well, that's pretty pathetic on Ford's part in 14 years that a 10-year-old clapped out Gen 1 can get the same fuel economy as a Gen 4, 14 years newer. I wouldn't disagree initially, but there's a few things. This truck here is a Super Crew. It's a lot bigger truck. But a few things to consider on this fuel economy trip. Did them on the same day. This thing's got a few things going for it. Number one, it's well broken in. Number two, it's got a tonneau. This does not have a tonneau. This truck is not broken in. But I've said this in other videos and I stand by this to this day. V8s on the highway, which is primarily most of my loops, I feel like do better fuel economy than boosted V6 engines. Where this shines, if we did this in the city, I bet this thing would get 5 miles per gallon better. than this in the highway. But to go in this a little deeper, let's look at the window stickers. Not only compare fuel economy, but look at what's changed in 14 years. So funny enough, I actually have the original window sticker for this truck. Here's the original window sticker from way back in the day. And look at the highway fuel economy. 14 city, 18 highway. How funny is it to look at these old school window stickers? But check that out, guys. $40,570. Look at the safety ratings. 3-star rollover, overall 5-star rating. Look at the options though. It kind of cracks me up just to see the different options in all that time. But $40,570, 14 and 18. Now let's look at the window sticker in the 2024. So I'm not going to go over the options all that much because it's pretty well equipped 802A package, which gets you the 37 package for an MSRP of $91,905. But now let's check out the fuel economy. Guys, it's identical. 14 city, 18 highway, 16 combined. All your crash ratings are pretty similar too. Overall score, still a 5-star vehicle. So what this tells me is in 14 years, the Gen 1 versus the Gen 4 gets the same fuel economy rating. There's really no advancement. The advancement would be you got 4 full doors, you got more towing capacity, and you got 50% more power. That truck's got 310 horse. That truck's got 450. That truck's got 360 foot-pounds of torque. This thing has got, I think, 510 or 540. So you got 50% more power, a lot faster, same kind of fuel economy. I bet if we did this exact same test though in the city, we'd see a little different results. But regardless, $40,000 back in the day, $91,000 today. What's wild is a clean Gen 1 that's all cleaned up. This truck still brings 50+% of its original MSRP, being 14 years later. Kind of wild. So I know a lot of people are going to tell me, well, you know what, you should do hand calculated. Perfect. I'm going to do hand calculated right now. Here's the 30-second method. Boom. Let's see what hand calculated is on this Gen 1 Raptor. We did 246 miles on the first trip. We have to add in the second portion. Let's see what that combines to. 19.6 plus 246 plus 6. Okay, hand calculated 12.1. I'm going to reset this. If you recall back earlier in this video, I was hovering right around 12.6, but then when we did our loop, if we want to get into the math, that's actually going to be more at about 12.8. So I was off 0.8 miles per gallon on the Gen 1. So for perspective, I've seen very similar hand calculation to computed fuel economy differences on my Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, and my 24 Raptor R. So being off 0.8 miles per gallon on a 2010 F-150 is not out of expectations for computer versus hand calculated. But also, when I go back to my Gen 3 truck, when I did a hand calculated, it was always about 0.5 to 0.8 mile per gallon off. The fact that the 2010 and the 2024 both got the same computed fuel economy, I would bet their hand calculated is very similar as well. What's the takeaway? Well, this is an amazing truck. I just can't get over it. I forgot how much I can appreciate the new Raptor after putting about 1,200 miles on that truck. This thing's a dandy, man. If you got kids and you're towing more and you just need the comfort of today's vehicles, this thing really has it. You got a sportier feeling suspension, better off-road, a lot of power. I like that the aluminum body, you don't have to worry about rusting. There's a lot to like about this. But if you got a trusty old Gen 1 and the thing serves you well, I can totally understand why you'd want to stick with that as well. But anyhow, if you enjoy this video, feel free to like. If you're already watching this channel, make sure those notifications are turned on. Thanks for watching.